Hey guys, it's Courtney Carson from Cosmic Clarity Astrology. Today we're going to be talking about Cancer, Rising, and Suns 2026. So if you have no planets in Cancer, no rising, no sun in Cancer, then move along to another video of mine, which there are tons on my channel that you can find. But for those of you who are Cancer, this will be your forecast for the year. So welcome to 2026. We are currently in January. Little behind on some of these because just a lot happening over the holidays. Okay, so what we can see from this chart right here is today's date, which is January 7th, but I want to break this down based off of quarters. And there are, of course, 4 quarters of the year. I'm going to look at the major astrological events of each quarter, and I've also pulled some cards, so I'm just going to walk you through all of that. But first, before I get into the astrology, I want to get into your theme for the year. So I pulled one card as your theme, and I got the goat, and it says 6 of Pentacles, just rewards, generosity, establishing boundaries. So for those of you guys who feel like you've had issues with boundaries in the past, for those of you guys who feel like you've worked really hard and haven't gotten paid what you deserve, or if you've had relationships that have taken from you instead of given to you, if something feels imbalanced or unfair or unjust in some capacity, then this is speaking to you guys having the balance restored in 2026. So, like, let's say, for example, you are going through a divorce and you're trying to split your assets. This would indicate a fair split of the assets. Or if you are, again, putting a lot of energy into something like a relationship or a career, you'll notice that those things start to pay off and that you get rewarded for the energy that you give. So really beautiful to see that for your year ahead. I think that makes a lot of sense with Saturn and Neptune becoming conjunct in your career sector in February, on February 20th, and then Jupiter in your sign for the first half of the year. It won't switch into Leo until like June, end of June. So this is a period of growth, in particular around your self-concept and your career, or major elements that mark your reputation in the world. That could be getting married as well. So really, really major developments in those areas, or even potential pivots. But we'll talk about that in a second. The second card for your theme of the year is a higher consciousness card. Again, this makes a lot of sense to me when Jupiter is moving through your sign. Jupiter is a planet of higher consciousness, higher learning, higher wisdom. What does it mean to have higher learning, higher mind? It just means that you're connected to larger truths. You're connected to spiritual truths, to your morality, to your integrity. You are making sure that you're living in alignment with the larger soul purpose of why you're here. You're looking at things from a broader perspective and seeing the meaning behind them. It's basically saying that you have access to your higher self within your consciousness on a day-to-day basis in a bigger way. So you're going to be less likely to kind of suffer at the whims of random events happening. I can see you guys accessing more of your calmness, your stillness, your purity that comes from the higher self, that is less critical or that is less judgmental or fearful. So I just feel like you guys are going to be trusting a little bit more in your capacity to hold more in life. So if you go through certain challenges that maybe you went through previously, you probably will handle them a lot different because you'll be connected more to your higher self this next year. So 2026 is a year about getting what you are justly due and maintaining almost like this kind of stoicism, detachment, a healthy detachment from things so that you are able to stay grounded into your higher self. So let's start off with quarter 1. We're going to talk about the Saturn-Neptune conjunction first, which is happening on February 20th at 0 Aries. This is a really big deal. I will link down below the video that I do on Saturn and Neptune in Aries, and also Uranus and Gemini and whatnot. I'm not talking about each individual transit and what it all means here, but I'm kind of going over the major aspects of it. So both planets will be exact on the 20th, and basically Saturn and Neptune coming together is forming some kind of reset in our lives. It's resetting our expectations, our boundaries. It is resetting what we thought would happen with what is actually happening. Often there can be sometimes like an adjustment period where we might feel a little bit disillusioned that we're set on this path and we're realizing that path is not what we thought. And so we're having to, again, adjust a little bit. And so that could be at times a little bit stressful, but also it's a time of major fresh starts for us. Zero Aries is the first degree of the first sign of the zodiac. And this is happening for you in an angular house. As a Cancer rising, you are a cardinal ascendant, a cardinal sign. Cancer is a cardinal sign, and Aries is also a cardinal sign. So there is basically, what I'm saying is there's a sign-based square happening. This conjunction is happening in the 10th house, an angular house. Well, I'm basically saying the same things in multiple ways. And what I'm saying is that this is really significant. It's going to impact you on a deep personal level, especially if you have your ascendant or your sun around 0 degrees of Cancer. It is going to transform the way that you approach your career, the way that you approach your public life, the way that you approach authority figures, the things that you set your sights on for the future, your concept of leadership for yourself or for others. And also, you're kind of standing in the world when it comes to your marital status or other things that are more public domain when it comes to understanding your identity. So major, major shifts in these regards. So if there is some kind of like fresh start that you have, that you want to have in your career, this is a very positive sign to embrace this new beginning. So if you've always wanted to start your own business, especially, this is a good time. Or if you want to do something that allows you to take up more space or have more of a leadership position or more autonomy and individuality, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction Aries is really pushing that. So maybe this could be you getting some kind of, I think it'll look different for everyone. Maybe some of you could be let go. And then you're like, okay, well, now I have all this time. Now I want to put this into a business that I've always wanted to start. Or maybe some of you guys will get a promotion and will give you the opportunity to be more of a leader within the workplace. So there's some element here of kind of pushing you towards the unknown or towards up leveling a little bit. But sometimes in that process, it can be a little bit uncomfortable, and it's going to take some time. It's not going to be probably immediate, but there is something here that is going to likely push you outside of your comfort zone. So if there is some kind of change in work or what people expect of you, or if you are feeling called to something that is, again, maybe a little uncomfortable and new, this is your chance to embrace it, because if you push it away, that energy will seep back into your life, maybe unwillingly. So just make sure that you kind of open up to it, I guess. So yeah, that's what I see for Saturn and Neptune together. Let's talk about the eclipses, and then I'll get into the cards for the first quarter. So the first eclipse we have is February 17th, which is a few days prior to this conjunction. And it's an eclipse at 28 degrees of Aquarius, which is going to fall in your 8th house. So for my Cancer risings, if there is some kind of storyline around money that includes other people, this eclipse could show that there is some I was gonna say breaking point, but I guess some kind of movement forward in that regard. This is a solar eclipse, which is a new moon, which typically is going to indicate some type of beginning. The ruler of this moon is Saturn, and Saturn's with Neptune in the 10th. So again, this all kind of feeds into what's going on February 20th anyway. And just keep in mind throughout, I'm going to mention transits on specific dates, but the energy is actually felt for weeks before and after. So if I say February 20th and you're like, well, nothing happened on that day, but 2 weeks earlier it did, that's the event I'm referring to. So just keep in mind that these are energetic windows and not a dot, right? They're like a larger moment in time. So, and they unfold as a process rather than a moment. And so this eclipse in Aquarius on the 17th is going to be part of that Saturn-Neptune conjunction moment on the 20th. They're all really in the same time frame. So this 8th house could be one of two things. For some of you guys, there could be some kind of financial matter to be sorted. Maybe some of you guys get a bank loan. Maybe there is some development. If you guys are splitting resources with an ex, this could be some development in that regard. The 8th house can also be you realizing that you get money back from taxes, or that maybe you owe money, but you have a plan that you maybe can make to resolve that financially. So there's likely something financially coming in here, especially related to what's in the future with Saturn in the 10th. How does this money or this lack of money influence the decisions I make in my future, my career planning, and my goals for 2026 and beyond? That's a good question to ask. The eighth house is also very much related to our fears, our insecurities, our traumas, our doubts. And so a new moon here, really combined with the Saturn Neptune conjunction in the 10th, is indicating that you guys might have some kind of career fresh start or newness come in, but it might be coupled with anxiety, coupled with fear and uncertainty. And I really spoke to that. I was gonna say I spoke to that earlier. Anyway, I don't know what I was saying there, but forget that. So yeah, I definitely feel like you guys might get a little bit of a taste of this, where again, you're having some kind of advancement forward in your career, but it might initially look like a step back in some kind of way. And part of your advice for this quarter is the Nine of Swords and the Page of Wands. So interesting to have part of your advice be this card of negative thinking. So what I think it's trying to say is, if there is some kind of new horizon that you're being pushed towards, either through your own decision-making process or through something being taken away, if you're being pushed towards a new beginning within your career or within like your life objectives, it's important to embrace whatever feelings that you're having with this eclipse. Embrace it, allow those thoughts to come and go. Don't get too attached to them, and don't make behavioral decisions based off of them. Just recognize that maybe I have fear, maybe I'm worried, maybe I'm up at night, but that doesn't actually stop me. That's just an indicator that this is something new and outside my comfort zone. And with the Page of Wands being your advice alongside that, there's some adventure that you're about to go on where you need to carry less inhibitions with you, where you need to trust more in yourself, where you are allowed to explore things with there being maybe some unknowns or feeling creatively inspired, but there's not a lot of foundation. So there's something here where it's like, it's okay to kind of take a leap of faith and to not be certain on that path and to not have all the answers, but to embrace it anyway, especially when it comes to creative vision, creative insight, and something that maybe you haven't fully tried before or haven't given your all before. Your other piece of advice is a cricket card. This says serendipity, moral compass, and liberty. So this is interesting to me. I do think that this is speaking to the next step along your path. The way that you're meant to develop should feel like it aligns more with your moral compass and integrity. So if you currently work at a job that doesn't fulfill your soul or isn't contributing to society or the world in a positive way, isn't helping you grow, isn't feeling meaningful to you or purposeful to you in some larger context besides gaining finances and security, then it might be time to ask yourself, what would feel like it's an integrity to me? What would feel like it's aligned with the purpose, or that I'm making an impact, or that it's serving a larger, again, meaning and purpose in my life and in the world. And that doesn't mean you have to do something massive. It just means that you feel connected with what you are doing on a spiritual, emotional, intuitive level rather than just a material and practical level. So that's part of your advice, is to look at this from a different kind of landscape, I guess. So instead of thinking about career as serving just the material realm or just the financial realm, thinking about it from, what am I here to do? What's my message? What's my purpose in people's lives? And for some of you, it could be that I'm really meant to be a mom. And so if you're meant to be a mom, what does it look like when you're moving in integrity, that mission with your children? And how does that change the decisions that you make and the plans that you make in your life and how you set things up for your kids? So there are always ways that we can kind of tweak to align more with our higher consciousness, which is your theme for the year. So I really think that this is meant to be a year of spiritual evolution in some respects. So I asked, what are the blessings that you're going to get this quarter? I got 10 of Cups and King of Cups. Some of you guys could really feel like you are on an emotional high. So while anxiety, I think, is also possible this quarter, 3 months is a long period of time. We can go through a lot of emotions in 3 months. So I think part of what you might experience is, potentially, if you're single, you could potentially meet somebody that has a King of Cups kind of energy, somebody who is sensitive, who's gentle, who's understanding. This doesn't even have to be a romantic partner. This could be a friend or a colleague or someone else that inspires you. Like if you've always wanted to work in a spiritual industry, for example, this could be maybe meeting someone else, like a peer in the field that is inspiring to you, that has similar skills or assets as you, or maybe slightly different that you learn from. But there's something here around the blessing is either that you are feeling really fulfilled by something, or that you are maybe attracting relationships that create that fulfillment. So there's a lot of different facets here, but it's you guys being emotionally in tune with yourself. And this Aquarius eclipse can bring that. The 10 of Cups is like a happy family. So if you guys have been depressed, or if you've been disconnected from your loved ones, or if you're really stressed about things with your family, I feel like this is saying that at least in this quarter, that things with your family are going to be going well. If you have children, it will be going well. That type of situation. If you make changes to your life, they could positively impact your family. If you're planning something for the long term, you could be planning for, again, future success, for a legacy for your family, and for, if you have children, or yeah, just thinking long term. So we also, again, have another eclipse. This is happening on March 3rd. So eclipses happen in cycles. So 2 eclipses around the middle of February, beginning of March, and then we have a second set of eclipses happening in August. So these are the 2 eclipse seasons or cycles. So this eclipse is happening at 12 degrees of Virgo, and it's a full moon, which means it's a lunar eclipse. So if you have planets around 12 degrees of the mutable signs, which is going to be, of course, Virgo, Pisces, but also Jupiter, Sag and Gemini. If you have planets around 12 degrees, you're going to feel this one the most. So this Virgo lunar eclipse is likely going to be kind of similar to what I was speaking about, where I think that if you've been feeling a lot of this stress with the Page of Swords, Nine of Swords and the Page of Wands, I could see that this Virgo eclipse is a lot about relieving yourself from some of the anxieties that you've been having, to come back to a broader feeling of kind of like hope and faith, and that things are gonna be okay. A lunar eclipse in the 3rd house of the mind can really indicate that you're releasing a lot of perspectives and mindsets that have been toxic. Maybe there's some important news that comes in for you at this time. So if you've been unclear around how to go about something, you could get some download or some synchronicity, or an email or a letter or something like that, a phone call, or meeting a person that helps you on your path, that maybe gives you that next morsel of information to continue forward, that maybe gives you an approval for something, if that's something that you need. The ruler of this eclipse is Mercury. Mercury is retrograde and in Pisces, so it's struggling a little bit. So there could be some issues in regards to the things that do come up. Maybe it's issues from the past, like maybe you're kind of going through a larger like a larger cycle where things, maybe you're noticing old wounds, old thoughts kind of come back up, old issues come back up. That's often the case with lunar eclipses, especially when the ruler is retrograde. So yeah, it just might feel like, oh, I thought I recovered from this. Like I thought that I was in a good space, but it's just coming up temporarily for you to not get stuck by, if that is the case. Let me see if there's anything else about this eclipse. Yeah, I think it's going to be positive overall, though, because of the sextile to Jupiter, especially in your sign. So yeah, I think that this is going to be a time of like intellectual, mental up-leveling of some sort. That's why we end with the 10 of Cups, but we start with the 9 of Swords. So you might start off quite anxious, but then you end feeling really happy and fulfilled. And it's because you're really getting rid of a lot of these fears and anxieties and worries and overthinking things, and coming into a place of feeling a little bit more trusting of the things that are unfolding in your life, even if you can't understand why they're always happening or where they're headed. So, I mean, I can tell you why they're happening. It's to help you embrace greater sense of purpose, especially in terms of career and impact and legacy. Okay, so what to expect this quarter, I pulled the snail card. It says pacing, steadiness, coiled energy. So, I mean, I think that things are going to test your patience this quarter. I think that you're laying the foundation of something really, really critical. But we got the snail card and the Knight of Pentacles, which is the slowest card in the deck. If you are implementing something at this time, if you're creating some kind of career change, if you have an idea, if you've been working on something in the background, expect the first quarter of the year to be particularly slow in regards to this. Expect for things not to make a ton of progress. Maybe it's because Uranus is still in Taurus and we're not really getting a shift off of that until, let's see, when is this shifting again? So Uranus isn't going to shift into Gemini until April. So yeah, I think that this first quarter is going to feel a little slower because Uranus is going through its last bout in Taurus. And I will say Taurus is the fixed earth sign. It really tests your patience. So I think that you need to get it in your head now that I'm going to put effort into things and not see immediate results. Your yearly card, your yearly theme was the Six of Pentacles. So you have this energy of getting your just dues. So I do think that it will end up by the end of the year catching up. And I think things will accelerate a lot faster, especially once we get past quarter one. However, I do think that you need to keep going with it despite seeing little to no results initially. Or very slow progress initially. Not to say that you won't see results in general, but you just might be moving slower on things than you were initially wanting to. The other thing that's coming up for you this quarter is the Page of Cups and the Sun card. So again, some of you guys could be finding love with the Page of Cups or finding something that you love to do. This could be hanging out with a person if this is a romantic or friendship interest. This could be a creative project or a hobby. This could be feeling like more renewed emotional vigor for existing relationships and connections. Maybe feeling more connected with your child than ever before, feeling more connected to your inner child or your intuition. But there's something here around feeling like this kind of playfulness. We got the Page of Wands, Page of Cups, are really beautiful, playful cards, experimental cards. It's like just flow with it, have fun with it. We got the Sun card. Again, this is really centered around career. So I definitely think you guys are going to have major kind of realizations and movements that you're making within your career, even if you don't see results in this quarter from that Saturn-Neptune conjunction. But this is also a card of optimism. We also got the Ten of Cups. So I just think that you're going to feel a lot more joy in this quarter. I think that you're going to really connect with children if you have your own child. I just see that relationship becoming quite strong. If there's been any issues, I can see your children's happiness improving. But yeah, it just feels like there's a kind of this emotional steadiness of like things are not really progressing that rapidly, but I'm feeling good. Emotionally, I'm excited about what I'm doing, even if there are ways in which life is pushing me towards getting out of my comfort zone. And that could bring up fears. The overall emotional tone of the quarter is quite pleasant, quite happy, more growth and optimistic oriented rather than uncomfortable. So that is what I'm seeing for your first quarter. Let's go ahead and dive into. Okay, so for quarter two, Cancer, Rising, and Sun, we are going to have a little bit of a slower quarter. It doesn't mean it's not going to be impactful at all. It's just astrologically, there's not like a massive amount of stuff happening. Though the things that are happening are going to be significant. So on June 20th, we're going to have Chiron move into Taurus, which is in your 11th house. It's going to remain here until September 18th of 2026. Let me just double check that because that seems, yeah, so it looks like it's going to retrograde. Okay, that's what I meant. I'm just looking at old notes. So yeah, it'll be in Taurus just for a little blip, and then it'll retrograde back into Aries. And then we'll see in 2027 when it comes back into Taurus. So we're going to get a little bit of a taste here of what Chiron and Taurus is going to be about starting on June 20th. This is going to bring up the need for healing within your group, within your community. So if you've had friendship issues, or if you felt like always a little bit left out, or if you've been scared of getting like bullied online, if you put yourself out there, promote yourself, sometimes Chiron can bring those issues up and it can make you feel like, oh, I'm different, or this one friend group that issue that I keep having is reoccurring here, or um, maybe making again, maybe making some of your maybe making you a little nervous to post certain things online because 11th house is often like the online community that we have. So yeah, it's just going to bring up general healing around your ability to connect with people on a mass scale. Friend groups, internet groups, cohort of students, that type of thing. You might also start to find more of your purpose with Chiron on the 11th house. You might connect more with these larger aspirations in life. Like, what am I here to do socially? What's my purpose to like as a human to make an impact on other humans when it comes to human rights or movements or things that deal with like the social aspect of groups of people. So you may find a greater cause to put yourself behind during this Chiron and Taurus moment until September. So, and then again, it will return in 2027. But the real kicker for June is on the 30th. We are going to have Jupiter move into Leo, which is in your second house of finances. So a couple things can happen here, but okay. I will say that I have noticed that Jupiter transits are not always positive. So from April to June, quarter two, and again, the very last day of June is when Jupiter's switching signs anyway. But you just might notice that like maybe you feel a little bit more of the pressure building when it comes to needing to address your finances. Maybe you've let your budget slide for too long and you start to feel like these little petty expenses are adding up and you need to address it. Or leading up to this point, maybe you're feeling like you deserve way more money than you're getting and you need to do something to make more, get a second job even. Maybe some of you are wanting to buy a house or expand your material assets in some way, and you want more money to be able to invest in a property or invest in a portfolio or do something else in the material realm, like start a business and buy like physical goods. So I just see your financial life really wanting to like to take off and to grow and to evolve, and Jupiter moving here is going to indicate the shift into that growth mindset. And when I said that Jupiter doesn't always bring good things, like I have seen people's loved ones pass away during Jupiter transits. But oftentimes what that represents to me is that there is some massive growth that will happen because that person passes away that unlocks a completely new chapter in that person's consciousness, in their direction as a soul, and that was really necessary. So I could see Jupiter moving into your second as kind of like lighting some spark. Again, this isn't happening till the end of the quarter, but I feel like all the days prior to this from April to June are going to be preparing you mentally, setting up the ball of the situation that is going to apply maybe pressure or stress, or maybe you're going to be thinking bigger and thinking about what's next. So it can come from many different angles, but whatever you need to evolve financially, that is what the universe will apply. Some of us as souls need positive reinforcement, like, hey, look, you're doing really good at this thing. Can you take it a step further? Some people aren't willing to look at what's next, or they're being held back by something, and the universe might take that thing away, or they might pivot them in order to force them to look for new avenues that have more growth potential. So it's going to be really distinct depending on your natal chart. And also if you have planets in the second house or planets in Leo. So this again will really depend on you in particular, but this is entering into a new era of financial prosperity and growth. But that doesn't mean you're going to feel the prosperity from the beginning. It's embarking on a new chapter where you might feel the pressure of the lack of prosperity, the lack of growth of something that makes you then innovate and try something new to, again, push outside those comfort zones that we saw last quarter and achieve something greater that has more potential in it. So, okay, let's start off with your advice for this quarter. So we have the King of Swords, Truth, Final Authority, and Brilliant Mind. So part of your advice being the King of Swords to me is that you guys need to be really in your rational and logical mind. And I think that this is well suited to the fact that Uranus is also shifting for many, many years. I need to look at exactly how long. I feel like it's like not quite 20 years, but over a decade into Gemini. So we have Uranus shifting into Gemini, an air sign where really logic is valued, logic is prioritized. And I think that that's true for you this quarter, that you need to be very practical. Your advice is the King of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles, and Two of Pentacles. So we have the mind and the material world being your advice here. So this isn't just about like your feelings and your emotion and your intuition, because those could lead you astray this quarter. What you need to focus on is being a little bit more disciplined. The King of Swords is often really good at cutting away what is superfluous. They're good at planning. They're good at organizing. They have a set schedule. They have set expectations that they're meeting, but they also adapt if they need to, and they take in new information and adjust the plans accordingly. So this to me is like a card of somebody who's researching, who's looking for the best methods to grow their finances or to move things up in their life. They are using really clear boundaries with themselves and others. They're communicating really clearly. They're sharing their message, and they're getting really organized around what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. I can see that with the Knight of Pentacles and Two of Pentacles. Part of your advice is to take things really slow and steady and consistent, because I think you're going to be juggling two different jobs or two different roles or two different major priorities, or maybe more than two. But you're going to have at least two major priorities in your life that require a great deal of care. In order for you to do them both justice, you will need to slow the pace down enough to be able to work on them both a little bit each day. If that doesn't resonate, there is at the very least a need to be, again, really disciplined. I wanted to say the word rigid. So I don't want it to be rigid in the sense that you don't adapt when necessary, but rigid in the sense that you have a set schedule, you have set expectations, and you're not just going to change them because of your mood. So there is that, again, that discipline, that structure with the Knight of Pentacles, where they kind of are living up to their expectations and according to a routine and a plan that they set beforehand for these larger goals. So if you don't see immediate results, if things start happening that throw you off emotionally, and you start maybe like, let's say you have moments of doubt, or you get really busy and distracted, this is saying to keep coming back to center and to use logic. We're not looking at what I'm feeling today as the guidepost. We're looking at what's on the plan, and we're living according to that plan, even if we feel maybe discouraged certain days or tired certain days. It's saying show up anyway and keep consistent with it every single day anyway. So that's what I'm seeing. So what can you expect this quarter? So we start off with the Dove. We have divine messages, accord, and motherhood. So for some of you guys, there is a really strong message here around motherhood. If you're already a mother, this could be really, really highlighted in this quarter, because it's the last 3 months of Jupiter being in your sign in Cancer, and Cancer is the sign of the mother. So maybe you guys, if you have children, or if you are a caretaker or nurturer to people like best friends, or, to employees, or to your family, whatever. This is your role as a caretaker, as a mother, as a nurturer, really becoming important. So maybe somebody needs you this month. Maybe you need you. Maybe the mothering needs to happen internally into yourself. But there's something here around like helping you or someone else take care of themselves and feel loved. So that's a huge part of this quarter. If some of you guys are wanting to get pregnant or have issues with children, those are going to be highlighted themes, and maybe some of you could get pregnant. We start off with what to expect this quarter with the Ten of Swords. So there is something definitively ending, starting off in April through June. At some point in these 3 months, something is going to come to a complete conclusion. I could pull a card on this. I guess maybe I will to clarify, but I just feel like for a lot of you guys, it's going to be really different. Can I have a clarifier for this Ten of Swords spirit? Alongside it came out the Queen of Wands. So we have 10 of Cups and Queen of Cups. So maybe it's something with family. I don't know. Whatever it is, something is definitively closing out as a chapter. You finalize something. Maybe somebody has passed away. That's often what this card can represent, is a transition from the physical to the spiritual body. Maybe you have completed a job somewhere. Maybe you're moving to another country. Maybe you're ending life as a single person and becoming married with children. Like there's some kind of ending that is non-reversible. You can't go back to that job. You can't make that person living again. You can't unhave children. There's some definitive ending with the Ten of Swords that, again, you cannot reverse. And because of that ending, you are going to open up to the Queen of Wands. So whatever that is doing is it's creating space for something to bloom in your life. The Queen of Wands is somebody creative, sexy, confident. They're feeling intuitive. They're feeling like they know exactly what they want and where they're going, and they feel like they deserve it. They're shining. They get a lot of attractive energy. So people looking at them, people noticing them. If this is helpful for business, this is clients looking at you. And all of that. So the Queen of Wands is a very magnetic energy. So whatever it is that's ending in your life is opening up a door for you to spend maybe more time on your physical appearance. Jupiter and Leo can often signify that. But I will say, again, Jupiter isn't moving into Leo until really the last day of this quarter. So, but it's still, Jupiter in your sign could also be a lot about that. Like, I want to make myself more beautiful. I want to pursue this career. So I'm going to learn this one skill that might be not directly related, but it helps you look more attractive to potential employers. There's something here about like expanding on the good that you have. So if you have a natural inclination towards something, make that better, enhance it. So it's like, oh, I have, big blue eyes, for example. So it's like, let me put on some blue eyeshadow, make them pop. But that's the same for like your career, like your the things that you have learned and developed in terms of skills, as well as maybe friends. Like, I'm going to spend more time with this friend because they make me a better person. So I'm going to invest more in enhancing the best qualities of my life as a character, as a person, but also in my external life to make myself even more magnetic. What else is happening? We have Five of Pentacles and Chariot. This is kind of why I was really emphasizing you guys might feel a little bit of this lack. But if you do feel any kind of lack with the Five of Pentacles, it's going to motivate you with the Chariot next to it to do something about it to resolve that problem. So again, I really feel with the Queen of Wands that you are going to enhance what you are already good at. And with the Five of Pentacles, I see you trying to also kind of resolve the areas in which you may naturally struggle. So like, let's say, for example, let's make this more personal. Let's say you are really quite creative and you're spiritual and you like to flow a lot, but maybe you struggle with structure and discipline. Maybe you struggle with budgeting or things of the material world that there's like a right answer to it and it's got to work in a specific way. Maybe you struggle with that. The Chariot would be you working hard, not only to lean into what you're good at, but to also develop maybe those more structural elements that are harder for you. If you are coming up on financial lack, or maybe some kind of spiritual lack, or even friendship lack, like you're really feeling a lack of support or a lack of money or disconnected from your own inner world, this Chariot is saying, okay, I'm going to go out and do something about that to recover or improve this area of my life. So maybe I find a new way to make money, for example. And that would really kick off very well for the third quarter, when Jupiter is going to be sitting in your second house, the third and fourth quarter, for the rest of the time. I asked Spirit, what's your blessing this quarter? And I got the Strength and the Seven of Cups. I find this interesting because these are really not that positive cards. So I do think that there are going to be some challenges in this particular quarter for my Cancers. So this is saying that you get better at the challenges, though. The Strength and the Seven of Cups in particular, what the challenge is not knowing something. Maybe you're waiting for the results or the outcome of something. Maybe you've been, again, putting effort into something, but you haven't seen the rewards yet. Maybe you are needing to make a lot of really important decisions, but there are certain pieces that still have to fall into place. Maybe you're waiting on somebody else to decide something really critical. Maybe there are, like, you have an inkling of something that you want, and so you kind of start moving in that direction, but you're not entirely sure what you want and what that will look like. It's just in a hunch. So your advice for this season is really to be very logical and practical. That doesn't mean to ignore your intuition, but it does mean in many ways to pair the instincts that you have with logic and reasoning and planning. So just keep that in mind. But what I see you guys doing is getting really good in the unknown, in the transitions, in the liminal phases, in these periods of growth where there's a lot of uncertainty. So again, I see you guys really getting good at like managing your mind. That's what the strength card represents in many ways, is having a strong mental fortitude to navigate lots of choices and options and paths that can unfold and not knowing. And yeah, I think you guys might find that you also just have, maybe one of the things that you feel is a blessing is that you also just have a lot of options. If you're dating again, maybe you have a lot of like people trying to date you. If you are growing a business or trying to seek clients or whatever, maybe you have a lot of people interested in working with you. So there's some element here of having your pick, but sometimes that can be overwhelming. So I think that you're getting really good at managing that mindset and having a lot of, I just feel like a lot of confidence, basically. I see you growing a lot in confidence this quarter. And I think a lot of it is because you are coming out of something that's finally ending and freeing up more energetic capacity to dedicate to your building your confidence and to, again, kind of build up the areas that are lacking and enhance the things that are going well to, again, really build your confidence. And I just feel like you're going to be in a lot more of, because I pulled a clarifier and I got the 6 of Cups. So yeah, I just feel like with this, I just feel like you're going to be enjoying yourself more with the 6 of Cups. Like the 6 of Cups feels, this is a card about a child and your childhood. So if this is clarifying your blessing where I'm like, okay, you're able to have greater strength at this time, then the 6 of Cups can speak to that mental fortitude in the unknown, being sort of like a child when they're with their parents. They don't have control over their environment. They don't have control over what's happening on a day-to-day basis, but they're so happy about that. Like maybe not specifically about that, but they are happy in general, and they accept that fate, that they are being moved by the larger authorities. And that's kind of what I feel like is happening in this quarter. You are opening up to the mysterious and unknown influence of life, and you're allowing yourself to be moved by life and enjoy the process of discovery, enjoy the process of creation, like as if you were a child seeing things for the first time. And I still see you very much planning and moving things forward in the ways that you can, but I also think that you might not get the immediate response that you're looking for to things. And even with that, I think that you're going to have a really good time enjoying the process, and that's more important than anything else. And then I think in the following quarters is when you'll start to get the results that you're looking for, but we'll see in the cards. So let's go ahead and dive into quarter 3. All right, for quarter 3, Cancer rising and sun, we are going to have a bit more movement come into place. I do feel like the summertime is going to kind of stir things up. I feel like February and then this kind of June, late June through like August also seems quite significant to me. So one of the things that we're happening is July 20th, we're going to have a Jupiter-Pluto opposition. So this is going to be taking place in your 2nd and 8th house axis. This is something that I think is kind of happening in a very clear way in your cards. You guys may have to fight for something when it comes to your finances or resources. You might have to push back against powers that be, against things that are trying to control something, things that want to dominate. I just really feel like you guys are going to be here sort of standing up for yourselves, standing up for what you believe in, standing up for what is right, standing up for what is fair and just, especially when it comes to finances. But it doesn't just have to be about money. For some of you, it could also be about relationship, like intimacy in general. So if you feel like, oh, the second eighth house axis just has to do with intimacy, which is the eighth house, and then independence, which is the second house. So there could be something going on here with that. So with Jupiter in the second, yeah, this kind of aligns with the self-sufficiency card, the crab card. So yeah, there's something here around like you're fighting to be self-sufficient with something. To do something on your own 2 feet. This could also be financially. So trying to have some kind of breakthrough or push back against some kind of resistance, even if the resistance is maybe your own fears or the habit of something. So if you're used to like a lot of support within a certain area of your life, I could see this Jupiter Pluto opposition pushing you to try to do something more on your own and maybe take up some kind of leadership position around something. Let me try to think of an example. It might not be significant for all of you. It'll be more significant for people who have planets around 4 degrees of the fixed signs: Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Taurus. So if you have planets around there, you might find that there is, again, a need to be financially or emotionally self-sufficient with something in ways that you haven't before. Almost like prove yourself that you can do it. And it doesn't mean that you'll have all your support taken away. Could potentially have that. But there's something here around just like needing to have a good balance in this quarter between being charming and emotionally fulfilled and like happy and content with your loved ones and people in your life, and then needing to like stand up for yourself and put boundaries and maybe push back against something or fight back against something if someone tries to impose their own ideas of something onto you. So yeah, I can see an interesting mix here of I'm really happy with these people that I love, and I really also need to make sure that they understand that this is my project, this is my money, this is my endeavor, and that they don't have a say. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from this, is this like distinct role, like making sure people have a very clear role that they play in your life, and you can be very happy with them in that role, but making sure that they don't overstep that role. That's like a huge thing I'm seeing for you guys this quarter. And this quarter is July through September. And I think this Jupiter-Pluto opposition could bring that up in some capacity, whatever that looks like. We're also having the nodes change signs, which is going to be happening on July 27th. So just a week later, we're going to have the North Node move into Aquarius, South Node into Leo. So again, this is going to really emphasize everything that I just spoke about. I think that sometimes having the South Node move through a sign is often about letting something go. So with the second house, maybe there is ways in which you've been, unclear about your boundaries, or maybe you have, it's going to depend on your personal chart. So I don't want to get super into all these examples because it will vary a lot. But I do think that the South Node moving to the second could ask you to change the way that you approach your independence or your finances in some new way. Maybe this looks like collaborating or teaming up with somebody. But I don't think that that's like, again, I see two distinct like messages that are not contradicting, but they do have like opposing natures in certain ways. So the North Node, the eighth house, is a lot around how do we rely on each other? How do we do this together? How do we pool our resources together and buy that property? How do we go in on this business together, or collectively as a unit support each other in some way? That is part of your growth. But also one of the messages is to keep the independence. I think that's probably why this is an opposition with Jupiter, because there is still a need to keep very clear roles on how you do that. So if you do start a family with someone, what are your roles in that family? If you go into a business with somebody and you have a partner, what is their role? What are they in charge of? What do they have control of? And what do you have control of? So it's like there is a lot here around co-reliance and building together, but also around independence and carving out your specific footprint within a larger landscape, right? Within a larger ecosystem. You really need to know what is yours versus theirs, but you're still working together. So I hope that does make sense. So that's what I see the nodes bringing up for you. And again, a lot around money. So a lot can happen around inheritance, a lot can happen around ownership and property and losing and gaining money. Those are very common experiences when the nodes are in your second and eighth house. And a lot around your self-worth, a lot around your confidence, the way that you see yourself. And again, this really comes down to having clear boundaries, clear roles, because that's going to influence that a lot. So if you don't have a high self-worth, you might let someone else take too much power and too much control, too much say over something. So you're going to have a really strong sense of who you are as a person, what you're good at as a person, so that you can clearly, again, mark and define, this is what I want to have control over. So there's that. We are also having the Leo solar eclipse on August 12th. So that will take place at 20 degrees of Leo, which is going to be in your second house. So let me just see. I can't remember which one of these eclipses. It's been a second since I've done this video. One of these eclipses squares Uranus. I think it might be the next one. So yeah, I mean, I'll do eclipse videos specifically, so I'm not going to go into detail around each one. But with this being a Leo solar eclipse in your second house, there could be, again, some major change in your finances. So new way of making money, new way of seeing yourself to be more confident, to hold better boundaries around what you deserve and what you should be paid, or how you want to navigate your financial life, material life. Some of you, just all traditional second house stuff. Some of you could buy a house. Some of you guys could sell a house. Some of you guys could have some kind of change in your financial situation or your physical material situation. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. So let's go ahead and go. Oh, wait, no. Let's go over the August 28th eclipse. So we're also having a Pisces lunar eclipse on August 28th. And this one, I believe, is the one squaring Uranus. It's going to be at 4 degrees. So yeah, 4 degrees, which is going to be your third and ninth house axis. And this is really where the 7 of Wands, which I pulled this for what to expect this quarter, comes into play. The 7 of Wands is like, I'm going to stand up for what I believe is right in this situation. And I do think this eclipse in the third, ninth house axis, especially the moon is in the ninth in particular. So that's really about our beliefs, our morals, our integrity, and what we're willing to fight for. It's squaring Uranus in the 12th. So there's something here that you are going to have to like rebel or push back against a narrative that other people or society is setting up that you don't agree with. So this could be that you have to make a really important decision with the King of Swords. Again, this came up around what to expect this quarter. The King of Swords is somebody who has really clear boundaries, really clear communication, and clear mind. So they make very practical, logical decisions that is in line with their integrity, and they don't waver. So there might be something that comes up this month with the 7 of Wands and King of Swords or this quarter that requires you to push back again against some kind of narrative, against some kind of maybe decision that someone else is making, or what they want you to do. There's this feeling of like people trying to influence you. So let's say, for example, I can use myself, for example. I moved abroad temporarily. So maybe my family says, come home, we miss you, we don't want you to be there. But maybe in my soul, it feels right for me to be there. So there's something here around, I have to hold true to my integrity, what's best for me. And so with the 7 of Wands and King of Swords, I create clear boundaries, communicate and say, hey guys, I really need to be here. So something like that. It's probably going to be a lot more emotional, but yeah, it's going to require you to be very clear on where you stand with something. This could also be in terms of society and like, historically, for example, like, are you on the right side of history? Are you for or against this person or that person or whatever movement? So yeah, I could see you guys really taking a clear stand and like fighting on behalf of something that aligns with your honesty, your morality, your integrity. And don't let people influence you that shouldn't. We have the 10 of Cups as what to expect this month. A lot around family. A lot around family. 10 of Cups is happy family. So family might be a really, really big theme for you, since I think I've got it in every single tarot card pull that's come out. We've gotten the 10 of Cups of some sort. So family issues could come up. Developments with family could come up. So having a child, getting pregnant, moving houses, something happening within your family, someone else getting pregnant within the family, someone getting married, someone getting divorced, deaths in the family, people in the family moving. All those themes are going to be really, really strong. Maybe you physically move your home this quarter. So there's a lot, again, going on when it comes to the home and the family. And I could see you being really content this quarter. Sorry, I don't know why I keep saying that. I could see you being really happy and fulfilled this quarter, even if there are oppositional forces that might challenge your decisions with things. I don't think that that's going to weigh you down energetically. In fact, I see you being quite pleased, quite happy overall. So your advice, we got the Moose card: engagement, boldness, commanding attention. So the moose is massive. In Colorado, this is one of the few animals that people are scared of, and for good reason, because moose will attack you. They're quite aggressive. They're very large. They're territorial. And so if you see one when you're hiking out in the woods, especially if you have a dog, they can get annoyed by dogs. Or maybe that's bears. Regardless, they could get really annoyed and they could charge you and attack you and kill you. And you don't think about a moose being so imposing until you physically see one in person and you're like, damn, that is tall. That is a tall animal. And they don't seem like the stereotypical aggressive animal either. Like, they just have antlers. They don't have these massive canines, for example. So there's something about this where I feel like you are meant to be chill and composed, but also when you need to strike back, when you need to be imposing, when you need to be commanding or authoritative or lay down the line, maybe you don't come across that way on a day-to-day basis, but when you need to, when it's required of you, you do it. You level up in that way, or you embody that bigger energy. You say no. And I can really see that. And part of a commanding energy is, again, knowing how to balance, because this is your advice, 5 of Wands, 9 of Cups. Knowing how to balance your ability to be argumentative when it matters and push back on the things that matter in terms of conflict. And then when to be charming with the Knight of Cups, when to be loving and accepting and tolerant and diplomatic, and again, quite charming. So it's like, oh yeah, I know what to say to make everyone feel a certain type of way. So I see your presence becoming really, well, this is your advice, but I could see this happening if you follow it. Your presence becoming really strong, commanding, maybe even looming. And at times you can be firm and stand up for yourself when you need to. And at times you can be the most charming, most pleasant person to speak to, that everyone is attracted to you. So we have a mixture of those energies. And for your blessings of this quarter, I got the Queen of Wands. So I definitely think that people are going to be attracted to that energy. I think people like the feeling of being around someone firm. So if somebody has a clear boundary and they know what they want and they know what they will and won't tolerate, that firmness, it can be triggering, it can be annoying, but it can also be the thing that people are really attracted to, because they know where they stand with you. They know what you want. There's a level of clarity that is comfortable for the other person, because they can learn how to operate within those boundaries or that paradigm, or they could choose not to. So there's that. I think people are going to really be attracted to your confidence. The blessing that you're going to have for this quarter as well is Page of Pentacles, 4 Swords. I definitely think financially things are going to start coming through for you, or the things that you've been building and putting energy into are going to be slowly building. So if you've been investing time into a new career, a new hobby, you're going to slowly start to see financial rewards or people starting to notice your work or you starting to feel good at what you're doing a lot better. So I'm getting this, again, this larger path that may be, yeah, I mean, that may have not necessarily produced results in those last 2 quarters where you feel like I'm putting effort and I'm showing up consistently, but I'm not always seeing progress. This could be losing weight. This could be anything where you're like, I've been working on this last 2 quarters and that Knight of Pentacles wasn't really seeing, again, the rewards. The Page of Pentacles is saying you're going to finally start to see it grow. It's going to be small still, but it is going to be showing signs of responding to the actions that you've been putting out. What's even better is you have Four of Swords. So this is a card of rest. This is saying things get to be easy. You get to rest. You get to go on vacation. You get to have fun. You get to play. You have more downtime. You have more ease. So whatever has been going on, if there's been stressors in your life, if you've, again, been working super hard, this is saying that you get to not pump the brakes, but you get to take a little bit of your foot off the gas to still work towards something, but life is responding more with less pressure. So you don't have to work as hard to get results. You get to rest, you get to take time off, and people still find your YouTube channel if you're like me and you want to grow your YouTube channel, or people still find your website for astrology readings if you're like me and you do astrology. So yeah, there's a sense of like spaciousness that I think is coming through and allowing yourself to rest. Maybe you even physically get better sleep at night in ways that you haven't before. So that's what I'm seeing for you for the third quarter, July through September. Let's go ahead and wrap up with our fourth quarter. Okay, so quarter four for my Cancer risings and sun. This is going to be from October to December of 2026. There's not a whole lot happening astrologically in these months. I mean, of course, there's always stuff going on, but in terms of the major events, I'm really feeling like it's mostly going to be summer and, of course, February, March time when the Saturn Neptune conjunction eclipses take place. So this major event that's happening in October is going to be from October 3rd to November 13th. We're going to have Venus retrograde from 8 degrees of Scorpio to 22 degrees of Libra. So Venus retrograde is going to be happening in your 5th and your 4th house. So when we have Venus retrogrades, especially when it's in its detriment in the sign of Scorpio, we can have a lot happen when it comes to relationships where we're really reevaluating how we approach our relationships. Maybe the people in our lives, we're starting to look at them and we're like, are you really, are you like who I'm supposed to be dating? Is this marriage going as well as I thought? With this being in the 5th house, if you have children, maybe you're really reevaluating whether you want children or your relationship with your children, or maybe stuff is going on with your children where they're going through a process of their own kind of growth and they're making certain changes to their lives, or they need to make certain changes to their lives that they'll implement after Venus goes direct in mid-November. But there's a lot of evolution here when it comes to our connections with people. It can also be an evolution in terms of our sexuality. Scorpio in the 5th house is highly sexual of sign and a planet combination, sign, planet, and house combination. So you guys could be reevaluating how you approach your physical intimacy in some form of another. You could change how you approach dating, or you could again reevaluate your existing connections within dating. Excuse me. If you have a creative business or a hobby business or something that is just a hobby in general, like something that you do that is both pleasure and maybe practical, this Venus retrograde could also have you maybe evaluate how you go about that. And maybe you're kind of questioning, like, maybe my approach to this isn't exactly how I thought it'd be. So if you're trying to learn an instrument, maybe you've been studying with the wrong mentor or teacher. Maybe you are learning the wrong instrument or using the wrong scale or what, I don't know. So there's something here around looking at the hobbies that you do, the relationships that you're in, the things that you do for fun, and seeing, do I really feel aligned with this? And I see that a lot. I asked, like, what's happening this quarter? And one of the cards I got is the Hermit card, which is a card of an evaluation, self evaluation. So we're going through a time where we might be more introspective. You see this person's closing down their computer, they're going to bed, and they're just going to sit with themselves and reflect on what they're feeling, what they're needing. So that might be a big part of what this Venus retrograde is about. You might look at your hobbies and say, I could make more time for pleasure and joy in my life. Maybe I haven't been as intimate with my partner lately. Maybe I've let go of my hobby of sewing or painting because I've been so focused on my kids or my business, and maybe I want more of that. Or maybe my kids are going through a lot and they maybe need more attention from me right now. And I can think about how I can better meet their needs as a parent and anticipate what's really going on underneath the surface. So it's going to be, again, it's going to very wildly again, but it is going to have similar themes of this where we're reprioritizing, where we're studying our inner world and we're seeing if it matches what we're doing in our outer world. This is going to hold true as well when Venus retrogrades into Libra, which will be in your 4th. So you'll be reflecting on elements of the same thing that I'm discussing, in particular, how that pertains to your family, to where you're living, your physical home environment, to your financial savings and your money and your financial plans for the future, to the way that you manage your home and work life. Maybe you don't have the best balance. So there's a lot that, again, could be happening here, but mostly it's going to be a time of reevaluation, reprioritization, and especially when it comes to like children and home and family, and hobbies and relationships. So that's the major astrological event. So what's happening in the cards? So what to expect this month? I pulled the Puffin card, which is the Fool, childlike wonder, trust, and freedom. That's really beautiful. So I can see you guys establishing more of what it would take for you to feel free, to feel more alive, to feel more engaged with life, to feel more childlike, to have that sense of wonder and wandering. And I think that that matches this Venus retrograde in the 5th house really well as well, because the 5th house is the house of children, our childlike energy, our self-expression, our interests, our passions, our pleasures, our hobbies. So having Venus kind of linger a little bit there could give you guys a refresh or a revamp in that area of your life. So if you're like, I feel really stuffy, I haven't been going out on dates, I haven't been taking care of my appearance, I haven't been having enough time for myself to go out with my friends or to travel. Maybe I just want to lighten up. Maybe I just want to feel good. Maybe I want to feel less burdened, less stressed, less overly preoccupied with all these details and about the future and about all my responsibilities. Venus retrograde through the 5th house could really help you align with with changing your behavior to align with more of that free spirited and childlike kind of weightlessness. So maybe that you're not changing all these elements of your life, but maybe there's a little bit of a shift in priorities to make space for fun and pleasure in different ways. So that's the Fool, being able to kind of have this sense of like freedom. Yes, not being as weighed down, and Venus retrograde can help you do that. I also see the Magician and the Hermit. So the Magician, to me, really speaking, this came out a lot, I feel like, in 2026, and it's speaking a lot to like what is your potential. And next to the Hermit card, I think that you guys are going to be analyzing where you maybe have greater tools in your toolkit that you haven't been using, because the 5th house to me is a lot about that. It's our natural talents is the 5th house. So if you are naturally a very funny person, maybe you are not using that enough in your work life, because maybe you do stand-up comedy on your own and you don't, or you just joke around with your friends and your family and you don't bring that into your career. But maybe you could actually do more in your life and get more from your life by using more tools from your toolkit and cross pollinating them to other areas of life that they don't naturally come up for you, or that you don't think to use them in. Maybe you compartmentalize different parts of your life and personality, and there might be some kind of way at this time to combine them, to again, use more of those tools that you might use in one area of your life in another area. So, for example, if you really are good at working with children and you love your kids and you want to be in some ways like a stay-at-home mom, maybe you can't afford to do that. So maybe you start a daycare and you take care of multiple kids and you make money and you get to spend your time with your kids. So you're multiplying what you're already good at and you're bringing that over into a career area that could give you some financial stability. So there's something here around using all the tools in your toolbox, applying your natural skill from one area of life to another, maybe blending multiple areas of your life to get the most satisfactory results. This could be, I want to spend more time with my partner. I haven't seen them a lot. Maybe, and I also want to start this side business. So maybe we do this together. So there's some element here of maybe combining, again, different areas of your life in some way, or your personality in some way, or what you're good at in some way. Okay, so the other thing that's happening this month is Nine of Swords and Queen of Pentacles. So there might be a little bit of anxiety this month. Nine of Swords is sleepless nights. There might be things that bother you. I mean, that's really common during Venus retrograde. We can feel really disconnected from people. We can feel disconnected from our children, from ourselves. Maybe there are certain issues that come up with people and you're like, fuck, I thought this relationship was going well. I thought everything with my kid was going well. What's happening right now with this Nine of Swords? Maybe something is going on in school, or maybe you're fighting with your partner. Just like a disconnect in general is very common. But this is only a few weeks out of the whole quarter. And then we see the Queen of Pentacles. So it's really just to show where there are weaknesses in the foundation of that relationship, or maybe it's been building in the background for a long time, but it's an existing issue that is becoming exacerbated during Venus retrograde. And it might be anxiety inducing originally or initially, but I can see with the Queen of Pentacles, you end up being stronger than ever because you are able to then address the problem. So if your kid is getting bullied at school, maybe it's an anxious few weeks, and then you speak with their parents and you speak with your kid around setting boundaries. Maybe you take them to a self-defense class, and then all of a sudden there's all these solutions, and they find maybe a new empowering way with the Queen of Pentacles to feel stronger, to feel better about themselves by taking that self-defense class. Maybe you are closer as a result of connecting with them and being there for them during that time, all those kinds of things. If you're worried about money, if you're worried about your family, if you're worried about stability in some way, I see that panning out. I see everything coming full circle. So if there might be, actually, what's quite common during Venus retrograde that I forgot to mention is stress around money, financial worry. So maybe you've been spending extravagantly. Maybe you didn't have as much savings as you thought you would, or there are certain expenses that come up around your children, or around trips that you want to take, or around your household that just require more from you. And so maybe you have to, again, give out more money for that. But with the Queen of Pentacles, I definitely think, even though it might cost initially, it is going to financially stabilize by the end of the quarter. So it's just going to be a kind of momentary stress. That's what I'm seeing. And then things become even stronger, even more stable, because the stress will induce maybe necessary behavioral changes. Maybe you'll save more money, for example, or just get tighter with your budget in some way. And that is something I see in your blessings. With the Four of Pentacles as part of your blessings, I absolutely see you guys feeling more financially secure by the end of this quarter. So there may be a blip in there that stresses you out a little bit, but I don't see this taking any kind of major toll. In fact, I think I see you becoming a lot more visibly successful. So if you guys are wanting some kind of like fame or recognition or notoriety, or growing your business in some way, growing your skill, like as an actor or a singer or a dancer, like it's something that requires people to acknowledge you, even just in your own company, like maybe you want a raise or you want to get hired in a new position. The Six of Wands indicates people liking what you're doing and supporting you. So that would be getting that raise, people thinking that you deserve more money, that you deserve leadership roles, or getting that part in the play, or having your business grow and getting more views online for potential products that you're selling. These are all things that tend to grow because of positive, really because of the work that you did in the first 2 semesters, even in the third, but especially the 2 where you really weren't seeing results. I feel like that's coming through in these latter 2 quarters. And I see you really getting the acknowledgement that maybe the first 2 quarters you did not get. And so it's all catching up now. And with the Three of Pentacles, I really feel like if you guys want to work with somebody, collaborate with somebody, or, like I mentioned, maybe working with a partner or a friend, or I don't know, if there's something that you want to do to learn more as well, or teach, there's some idea of like, there's some concept that I'm seeing of like a classroom with this image here, or yeah, I don't know. I just see you being able to have the ability to do some kind of collaborative effort of some sort, whether that means you are leading a group of people, or if you are going to be on par with someone else as like a team. It doesn't matter. It's just more of the energy of you plus others. You could be growing a community. You could be growing online following. You could be, again, partnering up or teaming up with a business partner or a friend to do something. Maybe you find that you are able to rebuild elements of the relationships that have been struggling. After the Venus retrograde, you see what needs to be fixed and you work better together and collaborate better together. So there's something along those lines where there's like a reuniting energy, and a community energy that is going to be highly supportive, and that's in your blessings. So very, very good. So what's your, to wrap up, what is your advice for quarter four? So we have the Lover's card, love in all forms, commitment and choices. So yeah, I mean, I think that this says choose love, right? If we have Venus retrograde, sometimes people go through breakups or friendship breakups, any kind of breakup. And sometimes it means choosing love to walk away. Choosing love could also mean that you work through the difficult thing. It's going to depend on what situation allows for the most love to reign. If you have to choose yourself because that person is weighing on you mentally, emotionally, physically, then that means you're choosing your love for yourself and you're leaving. Or again, maybe the love is so worth it and you're going to be stronger as a result of working through something. So the Lovers is that you might have some choices to make when it comes to relationships, and it's up to you what direction those go in. But love and healthiness is the biggest thing to move towards. I am seeing something else here, again, that might involve other people. You guys might decide to travel more, go on trips with somebody. You might decide that you are, again, going to collaborate or somehow work with people, or maybe you'll make new friends. But I'm definitely getting a very strong, like, social relationship oriented fourth quarter of the year. And I also think that it will both be the greatest blessing, but maybe a stressor as well. So it's like both. You're working through some challenges and some hiccups, but you're also being really fortified by that partnership or relationship or friendship or community. So I see this with the Page of Wands and the Hanged One in reverse and the Knight of Swords. I feel like this is the universe saying, just go for it. I don't know what this entails. If you meet somebody new as a love interest, this could be you just going for it, or that's what the universe is giving your advice for. Don't hold back with the Page of Wands and the Hangman upside down. It's like you are, with the Knight of Swords, this is the fastest card in the deck. The Hanged One is normally slow, but it's in reverse, so it's released. And the Page of Wands is very free. So I'm seeing you guys feel, well, your advice is to feel free to move. Don't get yourself stuck. Don't overthink certain things. Yes, you can work with the Nine of Swords. You might have moments where you do overthink, but you can work on it and fix the existing issues. But I think it's mostly saying, like, don't stop. Don't hold yourself back, right? If you want to move forward on working with some project with someone, but there's some hiccups, say yes anyway and resolve those hiccups and keep moving forward. Like, don't let anything actually stall you completely. There's this energy here of go for it, leap into it, trust this, like, this is exciting, say yes. This feels like very adventurous and like saying yes to life. And with the Lovers next to it, I definitely think that this somehow involves another person. But the Lovers can also speak to really critical decisions that we need to make. So maybe this quarter you need to make a critical decision to embrace some kind of trajectory or path that's coming to you rapidly. For example, you might get a sudden opportunity for a new job, but it's across the country. And it's like you have to make a kind of split-second decision to say yes or no and go on that trip or on whatever, or move. And this is saying, like, make that decision and say yes. Do the thing that feels like the wind is in your hair, like you're riding through the desert on your horse and you're running fast. Like there's a sense of open space, movement, freedom, agility, adaptability, excitement, stimulation, change, advancement, momentum, progress. That's the energy that you guys want. So if you have to make a decision, choose a decision that aligns with that archetypal energy. So if this is to even if this is to settle down with somebody, for example, this could still involve that. Like maybe you decide to move somewhere for them or move in with them and it's like, oh, this is moving really fast. I don't know. But this is you saying yes to it because it feels right. And not just like saying no because you're scared, for example. So yeah, I'm just saying whatever decision you have to make now, embrace the fast-paced energy of it. Move forward quickly. There is a very distinct time pressure on this quarter for your advice specifically. There's something that is time sensitive. Either there's an astrological event that won't come back for you for a long time and you have to act on it now. Or maybe there's some kind of opportunity that once you miss it, like that's it. Usually I really hate to give messages that put pressure on you like that because I don't really think life is all or nothing. But there are sometimes circumstances that are time related to that specific thing that you won't be able to duplicate it exactly like that again. So if that's the case, take advantage of the momentum that you're having and say yes to this thing that might move really quickly because, again, it might be quite fleeting and ephemeral, and you might not have the chance in the future when you are feeling like you can make that decision. So embrace the yes, embrace the movement, embrace the speed, and I think you'll find that this quarter is quite successful for you, and I think you're ending on a really, really strong note. So I do want to, I think, wrap up with one final thing for you guys. I would love for you guys to just ask if you have a question about one specific thing. You know, I was thinking like it could be cool to like pull a card for love and then career and I don't know. Okay, let's get to that in a second. But just go ahead and ask one specific question, and then I'm going to pull a card that will answer your question. So go ahead and ask that one specific question, Cancer. And then let's see if anything comes through. Spirit, what is the answer to Cancer's question? Maybe a timing thing. Maybe if you should want something or not, or whatever. So we have trust. So whatever this is, I think that it's going to turn out really well for you, but it might take some time. And that's something that we saw with this year in general was the first 2 quarters moved really slowly and then it speeds up a lot by that last quarter. And I think you're going to start seeing a lot of the results for the foundation you laid in the first 2. So it's like you really got to trust that even if you're not seeing the exact answers to a question or the feedback responding to your efforts, or if you feel like you're shouting out into the void and no one's responding, that is a normal thing at various points in our life, depending on divine timing. And I feel like the universe is just saying to trust that the thing that is meant for you will come to you, that it's all working out in your favor, and that you don't have to control everything or understand everything in order for it to be really positive for you. So I'm just going to do something different than I've done for the other groups. Can I have a card, Spirit, for love, then money/career, and then not love. Let's just do relationships in general. Then we'll do money/career, and then we'll do health. So family will be in the relationships, romantic love will be in relationships, friends will be in relationships. So what do we have for Cancer relationships this year? We have 2 Pentacles. Ooh, interesting. Very interesting. Okay, what do we have for career and money this year for Cancer? We have Queen of Wands. That came up for you multiple times. That makes sense. And then lastly, what do we have for health for my Cancers? What do we have for health? If you don't have health, you don't have wealth. We have 6 of Cups, 8 of Wands, 9 of Cups. Okay. So we'll just do a really brief analysis of this. So 2 of Pentacles, When it comes to relationships, you guys are going to have a lot of people that you're prioritizing. If this is you looking to date and you've been single for a long time, this could be you having multiple options and multiple people wanting to date you. If this is you, if you're already settled down or if you're single and not looking, this could be you having to prioritize like your work and your friendships or your work and your family or something like this where you're going to have multiple people that need your help, your attention. Maybe you have multiple clients. There's this feeling of like, I've got a lot on my plate and other people also do, and they really need me. So I kind of have to be in both roles. So I think relationship wise, you could feel like things are plentiful, but you could also feel maybe kind of pulled in many different directions because of that plenitude. As far as work and career and money, I see with the Queen of Wands, you being really confident and feeling very sexy and just like very magnetic this year. So if this is you needing to market yourself, you have this, again, appeal to where people are going to think, yes, that girl's got it. That guy's got it. They should get that role. They should get that part in the play, or I want to give them my time, my energy, my money, my attention. That's the Queen of Wands. They're leaders. So I see you taking up more space. I see you attracting opportunities, finances, resources to you because of your confidence. And I just think that people are going to notice you this year. When it comes to health, we have the Six of Cups. If you guys have had like a chronic issue or some kind of ongoing issue for a long time, or something that's been an issue since childhood, that might be something that you notice this year. With the Eight of Wands and the Knight of Cups, it's possible that let me pull a clarifier. Clarifier for the Six of Cups. I really feel like life is going to be moving fast for you guys. And so there could be moments where you are really excited and motivated and have lots of energy within these Eight of Wands. But if you do have like existing health issues, I almost wonder if it could flare them up. Especially with the Knight of Cups, if you like overindulge in something. The Knight of Cups can also indicate a particular sense of ease. So maybe you won't have any health issues. But if you do have anything come up, it's going to be related to like speed, where maybe you're over like putting too much on your plate and you're stressing yourself out by trying to do too much too fast. And then the Knight of Cups could be maybe indulgence or even relationship stuff going on that could throw you off. So if there is an issue, it's coming from trying to do too much and maybe stressing and like the weight of the world on your shoulders in relationships, or again, overindulging. So just keep that in mind if there is an ongoing issue, that is where the weaknesses will come in through. But I do feel like I'm not seeing cards of suffering here. So I'm not getting a bad feeling about health. I just think things could be really active, really busy. And sometimes health can slip through the cracks when things do get really busy. Like if you focus a lot on love and relationships and others, like it's really easy to forget that, oh, I didn't eat today, that kind of thing. So anyway, not seeing anything too scary or like scary or negative there. Is there anything I'm missing in terms of health for Cancer Spirit? Judgment. Yeah, there could be some wake-up calls when it comes to how you are exercising or eating. Like if you've been, again, if you've had like a long ongoing issue, like a chronic issue, I could see either things accelerating this year, or maybe you're being so busy that it gets like, it's just something that you might need to address with the Judgment card. This is a card of like awakening to what would be the best possible health choice in this scenario, and maybe you weren't making it and you didn't realize the lifestyle wasn't quite right. So that's what I'm getting. There's something about lifestyle that I feel like it could catch up with you if you have a chronic illness, and you might have to make certain lifestyle changes to create more of a feeling of flow and ease, or like less stress or more creativity, like maybe needing to prioritize something with this Knight of Cups that you don't, like a sort of softness that you haven't prioritized. I don't know. That's not really the astrological energy I'm seeing. So just keep this in mind for like a larger context. There might be some lifestyle changes that you can make to support your health this year. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Cancer. If that resonates, if this is helpful, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe, share with your friends, hype the video. I am trying to double my channel by 2027. I would love to reach 12,000 subscribers. If you want to be a part of that, if you want to support me and the hours and tons of effort that I put into this video. I would really appreciate any kind of comment at all, even an emoji. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Bye.